Today, we will be discussing the formula for calculating the sum of the interior angles of a polygon. Now, we know, for instance, that the sum of the interior angles of a triangle must add up to 180 degrees. And the sum of the interior angles of a quadrilateral, as another example, must add up to 360 degrees. And what you'll see is that eventually there's a pattern here, and that this is the case for pentagons, heptagons, hexagons, and octagons, and etc., etc., etc. And regardless of what polygon it is, the sum of the interior angles of that polygon is always calculated as follows, by using this formula right here. N minus 2, all in bracket, times 180, where n is the number of sides for the polygon. Now, in a previous video, I've shown you guys why is it that the sum of all three angles of a triangle must add up to 180 degrees. But let's suppose we just simply don't know why, but we still need to know what is the sum of all three interior angles of a triangle. What does it have to add up to? Well, in this case, we can apply this particular formula. For instance, in a triangle, n is equal to 3, because a triangle has 3 sides. And so therefore, 3 minus 2 times 180 is equal to, well, this right here will be equal to 1 times 180, which gives us 180 degrees. Now let's suppose, for instance, we have a pentagon. So in a pentagon has exactly 5 sides. So this will become 5. So now this officially becomes 3 times 180. And putting it into a calculator, 3 times 180 gives us 540. This means that regardless of whether the pentagon is a concave pentagon or a convex pentagon, and regardless of whether the pentagon is a regular pentagon or irregular pentagon, the sum of the interior angles of any pentagon must add up to 540 degrees. And this is the same, this applies to all polygons. So let us do a third example. Let's suppose we have an octagon. So an octagon has 8 sides. This means that the equation becomes 6 times 180. Using a calculator, 6 times 180 gives us 1080 degrees. So this means that regardless of whether the octagon is concave or convex, and regardless of whether the octagon is a regular octagon where all 8 sides of the octagon has exactly the same length and all the interior angles are exactly the same, or whether it is an irregular octagon, the sum of the interior angles of that octagon must add up to 1080 degrees. And this is how we apply the formula for the sum of the interior angles of a polygon.